Are you looking for a pap truck, no cap? Well, then you might be in the market for a 2002 Dodge Ram. Behind me today for this high miles review, I got a 250,000 mile 2002 Dodge Ram 1500 with the 4.7 liter. She's a two-wheel drive, she's long, she's low, and today we're gonna decide if it's a buy or if it's a bust. As we start our walk around of the Ram, you will notice that we're in a different location. That's because we got like 30-mile-an-hour winds here today, and we needed a little bit of protection from that. Moving on though, these trucks were all redesigned for 2002, and they've been out so long now that I don't know if I like the look or not, but I'm very much used to them, and they've kind of grown on me through the years. I don't think I liked them very much originally. As far as wear and tear, the biggest thing is right in front of me right here, and that is wheel well rust. They can also have some frame issues, but basically if you're in the rust belt, you're gonna need a new bed if you purchase one of these, or it's already had a new bed put on it, because they do rust out pretty regularly. The rocker panels and cab corners will also rust out on them, but a little less frequently than maybe the Fords or the Chevys do. They did a pretty good job on that. This one, actually, they're pretty clean on. Paint on these actually wears pretty well overall. They'll get some sunspots and some peeling here or there, but overall pretty good. The plastics are not great on these trucks. They started graying and oxidizing pretty early on in their life, so you're gonna find that on pretty much all of them. Under the hood here, we got the 4.7 liter V8. This was their small V8 option, and it makes 235 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. The torque number is right in line with all the other manufacturers. The 235 horsepower is not great. That is a pretty low horsepower number, even for a truck in 2002. One of my complaints actually when I tested the 5.9 was that I felt like it was underpowered, so I'm interested to see how it goes on the test drive today. I have not driven one of these 4.7 liter trucks actually before. Speaking of the 5.9, that was actually one of the highlights of that truck. I thought those engines were really pretty much a bulletproof engine. I didn't have much to say about it. These have a few more issues, but can pretty much be taken care of with regular maintenance. The biggest issue with them is oil sludge buildup. They'll end up having some oil pressure issues, different things like that if people did not keep up with the oil changes. Now, some people change like the pickup tube inside the oil pan. That helps out with some of these issues a fair amount. But biggest issue is just regular oil change maintenance. Now, the other issue with these engines that isn't as common, but you do have to watch out for, is you cannot let these engines overheat. They're a little bit more sensitive to head gasket failure, so if for some reason you were low on coolant, ran out of coolant, you had a radiator leak and it gets a little hot, you have a high likelihood of destroying your head gasket, which is a major and expensive repair. And speaking of coolant leaks, one of the big things on these trucks at this age is we're starting to get into hose and rubber issues where they're dried out. That could be valve cover gasket leaks, could be radiator hoses. It's pretty much going to be time to replace all of those. Now, moving on from the engine, Dodge does not have a good reputation as far as transmissions. In fact, when I reviewed the 5.9 truck, that transmission had already been replaced. Now, these trucks came with two different transmissions. One was a 4-speed, one was a 5-speed. Doesn't really matter which one, but they're generally pretty reliable. They did not hold up to abuse very well and did have some issues, more so maybe than Ford and Chevy. But this truck still has 250,000 miles on it. As long as you keep up with maintenance, you're pretty good to go. They also had some fluid leaks, usually around a solenoid or something like that, where you might just have a bad solenoid, but catastrophic failures weren't overly common. I would say if you're looking at a used one and it shifts great and the fluid looks good while you're on a test drive, you're probably good to go for a while. Now, one of the big issues across all of this generation of Ram trucks is electronic issues. The most prevalent one that I have heard of is actually the fuse box failing. This can be an expensive repair. There's a couple ways to bypass some of the issues that it causes, but fuse boxes tend to fail in these trucks. But overall, to sum up everything under the hood, it's pretty much old school style reliable. I really don't hate this powertrain at all. Now inside the interior of the Ram 1500. And these trucks did not wear super well for the interiors. At first glance, I always thought they actually looked fairly nice, but they just didn't hold up over time. You can see that my foot is locked into the door, and that's because the door checks that actually hold the door open either click really badly, or in this case, just do not hold the door open anymore. The most notorious problem inside these interiors is dash cracks. Dodge had the worst plastic ever in the 90s, the previous generation of this truck, and then they thought, we are going to use that same plastic. We love that stuff in our new trucks, even though it had already failed in all of the old trucks. And that's just basically, it disintegrates. It turns into nothing. As you can see, this dash is all cracked up, and this is actually in pretty good shape for one of these dashes. The other problem is the seat foam just compresses over time, basically leaves you with no cushion. This seat is all torn up. I don't really actually even fault the truck for that. Any truck with 250,000 miles is probably going to have that issue. And this is a base truck with the cheapest like vinyl and cloth option, and it just didn't wear very well, but that's okay. Dodge is also notorious for like window switches, door locks, all of those things going bad, as well as HVAC issues. The blend doors and actuators that flip your heat from hot to cold or from head to feet, those go bad pretty regularly. And now that I've been very hard on this truck, I will say overall, wouldn't be my deciding factor. I think most people are going to use this truck for work, and they did make these trucks functional, things like that. Even though the interior does have some problems, it's not terribly uncomfortable. It's spacious. It has nice storage, things like that. And if you're actually going to use this truck for work, which if you're buying a truck like this, that's what you're going to do, I actually don't hate it. Moving on to the rear of the Dodge Ram, and this is where Ram went and did things a little different than they had done before and any of the other manufacturers did, but now pretty much everyone has copied. Dodge decided not to go for a full crew cab truck or in a regular extended cab truck that had the doors that opened the opposite way. They made a compromise in the middle. They put standard style doors in the rear and then made a compromise on the size between crew cab and extended cab. It is not as spacious as an actual crew cab, but I think they saved a ton of money doing it this way to have basically one cab configuration. And I would always pick this style over the older style extended cabs. Legroom is okay. Headroom is great. Seat is actually pretty comfortable for being a little bit of a smaller area. I wouldn't want to do a super long road trip in it, but it is comfortable for most everybody to ride around town. Out on our test drive here today in the Ram 1500 with the 4.7. We're going to get on it here to start. Okay, all right. I hope you all were hanging on. It downshifted real nice, made a ton of noise from our pretty much straight piped exhaust. And we did not go anywhere. I think we gained about 3 miles an hour on that pull that we just did. Now, back in the day when I was reviewing the 5.9, one of my complaints with that engine was that it was underpowered, and it is the larger, more powerful engine than this one. This, I do feel like, is very underpowered, actually. It's fine for something if you're like never going to tow, never going to load it up. It would still maybe work for those things, but you can tell like it is actually something I would have to think about if I was merging into traffic or pulling out somewhere, that I'm probably not really going to go anywhere when I hit the gas. Now let's get into some of the more positive things. One of them is the steering is actually tight. Now, things have been replaced on this truck because there's no way it made it to 250,000 miles on all the original steering components, but the steering is tight, and I actually think the steering, as far as tightness and things like that, is actually better than most of the other trucks on the market. I know Chevys, they get play like with just by looking at them in the steering. So that part's pretty nice. Now these do have suspension issues with like ball joints, bushings. Dodge vehicles are terrible. Their rubber doesn't hold up. They're probably the worst manufacturer when it comes to clunks in the suspension. But this one's pretty quiet and is driving pretty nice down the road. And I touched on it before, but the transmission is shifting really nicely in this. It downshifts quick. It does not feel like a transmission with this many miles on it. So even though these transmissions can have a few problems here or there, this one works really nicely. Now, as far as fuel mileage, you're probably thinking, oh, they put the smaller engine in that one with less power. It probably gets really good fuel mileage. No, that would be incorrect. It does not get good fuel mileage. It just gets very much mediocrely average fuel mileage. That's right, the fuel mileage is 14 and 17 on the highway. That's typical for trucks of this generation, but it's by no means good. Honestly, for the trade-off, the 5.9 liter engine gets a few miles per gallon less than this, maybe 1 or 2 each, but I would pick that engine over this one all day. It's not that this engine is terrible, I just want the better power numbers. 2 little things I wanted to mention as we were driving here. One is my RPM gauge is broken. I don't know how common that is. I haven't seen that on a bunch of them. It's not like Chevys where every gauge cluster goes bad, but that's definitely a problem. The other one is we do have a check engine light. That is our only light on right now. And usually check engine lights on these are for evap codes, and it's pretty much on every single one of them that I've found. With that, we're gonna go out, we're gonna brave the wind, and we are going to wrap up this video. Back from our test drive, and now it is time to decide if the old Ram is a buy or if it's a bust. The price on these is like $3,000. Sometimes it's $500, depending on if you meet a crackhead that needs the money real fast. Sometimes it's up to $5,000 for a really nice one. These are by no means perfect. I do prefer the 5.9 engine, like the one I previously reviewed, to the 4.7. I think it offers a decent amount more reliability and fewer common problems, but there's still no ignoring the fact that this thing has hit 250,000 miles and is still running pretty good. It's not new, but it runs pretty good. If you needed a cheap truck just to get around, to do some work, to start your construction company, I see no issue with picking one of these up. So that's why today we are going to call the Dodge with the 4.7 a buy. It's a close buy maybe. They do have those common problems that you got to look out for. They are a little bit maintenance dependent, but like I said, 250,000 miles. She's pretty much all original. How could I say no to that? If you guys have one of these and have had some major problems that I missed or something you want to mention, put that in the comments down below. I want to know your thoughts on these trucks. Thanks so much for watching.